Okay, so today we are discussing about the servlet. So I'll just start with the introduction. So what does it mean by the servlet? So here consider you have a client. This is nothing but our client. Okay, and client send the request. That means client type for the URL, some URL he hit, and according to this URL he will get the response. Okay, so servlet is just simple Java program that resides on the server. Okay, so server, that servlet is present inside your server. So whenever client send the request, so it will give you a dynamic response. Okay, so what does it mean? So it will give you a dynamic response. That means servlet is simple Java program that resides on the server, and whenever the client send the request, so it will perform accordingly. So it will responsible for generating a dynamic response. So this is the response is generated at the runtime. So this is server, and inside the server consider here we have a servlet, and it's generating some response, and this is the response it has generated, and this response is returned back to the client. Okay, so that means consider here we have a google.com. Here you have a type google.com. Okay, and when you have hit it the information like www.google.com, so one page will open. So this page is nothing but your response. This page is nothing but your dynamic response. So it is simple, but here we have a lot of servers. Okay, so before that, why actually your AEM introduced the concept of servlet? It has introduces two classes. First one, Sling save method servlet. Here we have one class, Sling save method servlet, methods servlet. After that, we have another class, that is Sling all method servlet. Sling all method servlet. Okay, so why they introduces this concept? Before that, we have a normal servlet interface is there. By using this interface we can easily get the wait a minute guys, only 1 minute. Yeah, so here this one is the servlet that is already present in our Java. So why they have introduced this Sling save method servlet and Sling all method servlet? So first of all I'll tell you about this servlet. So it has 5 methods. Inside this servlet we have a 5 methods. So here, and you have a normal class. Consider now this is your normal class, like this is the class A, and now you want to convert this normal class into an servlet. So for that you have to implement this servlet. With this servlet we have to implement these 5 methods, and you have to write something. So this is more complicated. So this is the class. If I want to implement as a servlet, so we have to implement this, and after that here we have to write the servlet, and once you have written this 5 method you have to override inside here. That 5 method you have to override inside here, and it's a very complicated. So for that they have introduces another concept. Okay, they have introduces one another class, that is generic servlet. Generic servlet, we have one class, this is the class. Okay, and now if you want to convert, like this is public class, and here I have A. Now this is your normal class, and from this normal class you want to convert into an servlet. So for that you can simply extend the generic servlet. Extend generic servlet. So what is the drawback? That is cover that is present inside your servlet. So that generic servlet, we don't need to be write these 5 methods. You have to write only one method, that is service. Okay, one method is there, that is service. When you are returning this service method is responsible to take the request. Why? Because of it has one parameter, that is request, and it has another parameter, that is response. So this service method is responsible to taking the request and generating the response and return back to the client. Okay, this okay, but what are the drawbacks that is present inside your generic server? So just simple, it don't have much more methods. Consider client sending the request, consider client send the request in the form of do get, or client send the request in the form of do post, or just simple post, or client sent the request in put, otherwise trace, otherwise delete. So according to this method we have to respond it. So if he sent it the request in the form of get, then we have to respond as a get format. If he is sending the request in a post format, then we have to respond as a post. If he sent the request in put, we have to respond like that way. But here we don't have these types of method. So if user sending the request in a get, still it's returning a request in a service format, in service method. If he is sending a request in a post, still it's returning in a service format. So we don't have much more methods in our generic servlet. So for that they have introduced the concepts of HTTP servlets. Here we have one method, one class is there, that is HTTP servlet. Here we have one class, that is HTTP servlet. And now you want to convert, this is the normal class that you have considered, that is A, and you want to convert this class into an HTTP servlet, into an servlet with lot of methods, then you can simply use this HTTP servlet. So you can simply extend, why? Because of this is the class. So you can just simply write HTTP servlet, and here if you want to get the response in the form of do get method, then you can simply use protected void do get. Here you have to pass two parameters, first request and the response, HTTP request and the response. Now you want the request in the form response in the form of post, so you can just simply use the post method. You can define lot of methods. So if your client sending a request in the form of post, it will automatically go inside the post method and it will execute it. Yeah, but what are the issues that we are facing here as well? What are the issues that we are facing in a HTTP servlet? So that is, when you are sending a request in a do get format, okay, you are sending a request in a get format, otherwise consider you are sending a request in a post format. So that time we don't have any control to perform the operation. Simple, that means like you have created this do get method, okay, and here you are performing the read operation, you are performing the write operation, yeah, you are performing the create operation, you are performing the delete operation. That means you are performing all the operation on these do get methods. But we don't want these types of things. I want control on my methods. If I want to perform a read operation, then I can use only do get method. If I want to perform the only read and write operation, then I can simply use this post. That means if I want 100% control on my methods, then we can simply use Sling HTTP servlet request. So here we have a concept of Sling SAP methods servlet. What does it mean? So here you can only perform the read operation, okay, by using this class. When you have extended, like consider you have a normal class, that is A, and you have extended this classes, okay, that means you can only use here do get method. Instead of do get method, you cannot return anything. Like some of the method is there, you can use it, but it's only for the reading. You can only read this method, you cannot perform the write operation here, you just only read it, okay. That's meaning is Sling SAP method servlet. That means we have a 100% control on our methods. If you want to perform any operation based on these classes, you can perform it. So when you are extending Sling SAP method servlet, then you can use only do get. That means you can perform only the read operation. But when you are using Sling all method servlet, here we have options of Sling all method servlet. Sling all method servlet, that means you can perform read and write operation. That means this is your class, that is A, and inside if you want to define do get, you can easily define it. Do get, that means just for the read, and if you want to perform do post, you want to use do post, you can easily use it, that is for the write. So you can perform read and write operation when you are using Sling all method servlet. What I'm saying is it has advantages which that it we have a 100% control on our methods, yeah, on our operation. If you want to perform any operation based on the classes, you can easily perform it. So let's go and just try to create it. Okay, so I'm just removing this code, we don't need. Okay, so always keep in mind, I'm just reviewing all the stuff. Yeah, done now. I don't want this as well. Okay, so first thing, always keep in mind whenever you are writing a backend code, so consider now you are writing a backend code, that all the code that is present inside your OSGi service, you can say like that, all your backend code you can write only inside your OSGi service. So whenever you are writing your backend code, this is nothing part of your OSGi service. So our Sling, our servlet is also a part of this OSGi service. That means that OSGi service introduces the concepts of servlet. Simple. Okay, so we have two types. That means we have one old methods and we have one new technology. So here 1.4 and we have a 1.2. 1.2, that means old. Here we can use OSGi service. Inside the OSGi service we define our servlet. That means inside the OSGi service we can define our servlet. In 1.4 we don't need to use this OSGi service, that means we have to use it, but we are not defining our servlet inside this OSGi service. We are defining our servlet outside by using some of the annotations. Now I'll show you. Okay, so consider first thing how we can recognize this is the OSGi service. For that we have to write @component. Now when I define @components, that means this is the part of your OSGi service. Okay, this is the thing. After that I'm just simply extending, this is my normal class. Now I'm converting this normal class into an servlet. So for that we have to use Sling all method servlet. Otherwise you can just simply insert, if you don't want to use this one, you can simply use Sling sep method servlet. But now I want to use both, do one get methods. For that you can use this. If I want to perform read and write operation, then you can use Sling all method servlet. Yeah, so here we have to write do get methods, yeah, and do get method accept two parameters. First one, that is Sling HTTP servlet request, that is responsible for taking a request from your clients. So how we can write Sling HTTP servlet request. Here I am creating the object of the request. After that you can write Sling Sling HTTP servlet response. Here you can write response. Simple. I have already opened, so yeah, done now. So we have to import this Sling HTTP servlet request and response. I have imported. Now I have created the servlet, and here I have defined one method, that is do get. So by default, if user send the request, just consider here I have came here, if user send the request, that time it will automatically, by default, that request is sent in the form of get. So if you want to change from get to post, then we have to write something inside this component. Here inside this component, that means so in here I already explained, when I'm using 1.2, that means this is the old, and this 1.2 we have to define inside this OSGi service. Okay, but when we are using 1.4, we don't need to be use this component. That means we have to use this component, but we cannot we are not defining inside this component. They have their own annotation. By using that you can easily register your servlet. Okay, so one concept is there, you can register servlet by using two ways. What I said, we can register the servlet, or we can call the servlet by using two ways. First one, resource based servlet, and the path based servlet. Here we have two concepts, resource based and the path based. So this is the thing, this is the main thing we have to define inside your component. So now I am using a path based, so you can simply use here we have to use a property. Here we have to use one annotation, that is property. But the thing is, before property we have to use something. Just remove this property for your example. Now I'll show you. So here we have to use one service, that is servlet dot class. Okay, now I'll tell you in my way. Okay, so here we have a Sling all method servlet. And what does it mean by this servlet? So inside this servlet, like here, this servlet is nothing but the interface. Okay, interface, and it has 5 methods. It has 5 methods. Yeah, and what that 5 method does, so they are nothing but the life cycle of the servlet. Inside this 5 method, we simply define the life cycle of the servlet. So for running our servlet, for running this servlet, what we need a life cycle. First servlet will born, so here we have defined. So when we are extending, so that servlet will born. So who will responsible to perform this life cycle? This servlet interface. So for that we have to use this servlet inside your OSGi service. Yeah, we have to write this. So that's why I have defined. So where I have defined inside your service. Okay, so if consider, if I'm not using this, that means I have removed. That means this is just simple OSGi component. It is not a OSGi service. But when I define this service, attribute, that means this is your OSGi service. Yeah, so we have defined. After that you can simply use comma, and here we have to define property, curly braces open and curly braces close. Yeah, here we have to register our servlet by using two ways. So I'm showing by using a path base. So for that we have to use Sling servlet paths. We have to use Sling servlet path, and here I'm using anything like this is the path. By using, I'm setting this servlet. So for that you have to use this. I'm using bin, and after that you can use a recent, and here you can use article. So I have set the path, that means I have registered my servlet by using the path. Now just go there, and here you can simply write some code. So here I'm just writing one logic, like I'm creating a JSON object. So whenever somebody send the request, that guy will get this response. Okay, so here JSON dot create object builder, that I have written, and it will return the object of the JSON. So we have to accept it, JSON object, that makes a job. Here I have written, and here inside this JSON object I am adding some key and value, like data, calling servlet by using path base. Later that here I'm adding just like company, search software. Yeah, you can add some website link. You can define www.search.com. Yeah, this is the code that I have written it, and I want this code in the form of string. Yeah, this is the JSON code. Now I want this code when somebody send the request. So how they will send the request? You can access directly. So you can just simply define here localhost, and after that which one, this one is our path. So you can just simply copy, come here and just paste it. So when you are hitting the request, now it's not showing anything. Why? Because of we haven't registered anything, we haven't deployed this code till it. Okay, so when I deploy, so when somebody send the request like this, some client, right now I'm a client here, so if I'm sending a request, this response I will get. So for that I'm just printing there. So this is the code that we have got it. Now response dot get writer dot write. I'm writing the response in this page by using this get writer and the write. So this get writer give the permission to write the code in your page, and after that we are writing the response. So which response I want to add, this is the code I want to add it. So how we can do that, all the code that is present inside your job. So you can simply use job dot build. Now it's purely converted. When I uses this build, that means it's purely converted this normal JSON into one JSON. Okay, this is the JSON that is converted into one pure JSON. So for that we have uses job.build, and I want to convert from JSON to toString in form of string. So that's why I have uses the string. So we are writing, but if this response is not find out, this page is not find out, then it will throw one exception, that is IO exception. So we have to handle it by using throws IO exception. Export. Yeah, I have exported. Now just try to deploy this code and we'll see we are getting this result or not. So we have to deploy it. So how we can deploy, for that where I have returning this code. Okay, so we have to deploy, so I'm just trying to deploy from here, that is weekend. So I have clicked, and same thing. Now I'll just try to deploy from the CMD as well. Okay, so for executing your if you want to deploy by using a CMD, so for that we have to come inside our local where your project is stored. Here just simply define CMD, and once you define the CMD, you have to type maven clean install -p auto install single package. But before that, come here inside your code, and here we have options. Here you see, so here we have to add the yes, otherwise it won't work, it won't execute. So we have to type the s here, and once you type, just do one thing, just hit enter. It will take some time, and after that it will execute it. So wait while. Okay, so it has deployed successfully, so we have to go there now. Just come here and simply type here localhost and which one is our path, just go inside there, and this one is our path. So just simply copy it. When you have copied, come here and just simply paste it and hit enter. Now you are getting the error, you are getting the result. So why you are getting the error result? So first of all, we have deployed, we have registered by using the paths. That means you can directly access the output, whatever the output that you are returning in the form of servlet. So you will easily get the output by using the paths. Okay, so that's why this one is not secure. We have another, that is Sling resource type. So but before that, if you want to define, here I have used the out of the box folder. This one, this folder is provided by the Adobe, and you want to define your own folder, customize. For that they have provided one configuration. We have to go there, that is localhost 4502, and here system console, and here we have a config manager. Just hit enter. It will take some time, I think. Come, yeah, just try to search it, Apache Sling servlet. Just hit enter. Here we have options of Apache Sling servlet configuration. So come here, if you want to define your customized folder, for that you can just simply plus, and you can add your own. So right now I don't want it, so I'm not adding. So that's why we are getting this response. We are able to get this response because of this bean is already registered here. This bean is already present inside here. Yeah, So this is the thing. After that we can register by using a Sling servlet as well, sorry, resource type as well. We can bind our servlet by using two ways, first path and second one is the resource type. So let's go, we can create by using a resource type now. So for that we have to type Sling servlet resource types. Keep in mind we have to define the types, not type. Okay, after that here I'm just taking any resource type, like this is the resource type now I'm taking, that is JCR content. Here we have a resource type property, so I'm just copying this one, go there and just simply paste. Okay, so what does it mean by this? So just simply go in your CRXD and here you see. So this is the page, that page is created by using this Sling resource type. So simple, if some of the thing is that is created by using this Sling resource type, then you just simply do one thing, just give this answer, give this response to them. So whenever some of the things, like here this is our Sling resource type and you are hitting request, and whatever this page, consider I'll give you one example. So this is the page and by this page is using this Sling resource type, that means you will get the, you will definitely get the answer. Yeah, so this is the thing. So if I'll just try to copy, go there and just try to paste here localhost 4502 and paste it. Now what does it mean? If that EN page is using this Sling resource type, then you will get this output. Which one? This output, whatever you have written inside this get method. So just come here, but if you want to define the methods and the get methods and the selector and the extension, you can easily define it. So how we can define? For that you have to write Sling servlet methods. If you want to define method, you can simply write methods. I have written method now, Sling servlet another method. You can add more than one fields, okay, there is no issue, you can add more than one attributes. So I just want to define post, get and put methods. So Sling servlet methods, and here we have a put. Here I have defined, and don't forget to define the get method. Why? Because of here which field, which method I have defined? I have defined only the get method, and all our logic that is present inside our get methods only. So if you have defined more than one methods here, then you can use more than one methods, but by default it's a get, and here I have defined the get. So you have to define the get in your header request. Yeah, you have to define the get method in your head request only, okay, here only, otherwise it will not execute. After that, how we can define the selector? So for that you have to use Sling servlet selectors. Selector is just like a files. If you want to execute some part of the code, you can just store inside this selector and you can execute it. So here I am also using Sling servlet selector. This time I am using some different selectors like current, and here at the last we have to define the extension. Extension is just a meaningful thing, like this is the response that we are returning in the form of JSON. So you have to define the JSON extension, like here I am using a JSON. Sometimes we return the data in the form of text, so we can already define the extensions in text format, txt, and just do one thing, just try to deploy this code and see output is coming or not. So just come here and just deploy it. So it will take some time. Till now I'm just stopping the recording. Okay, so recording is done deployment is done successfully. So now here you see, here I have defined this weekend. This is the path here that I have defined it. That means here you see en is there, and after that we have defined some selectors. If you are coming here, here you see, here we have a selectors and the extension. Keep in mind, extension must be at the last and selector must be before the extension. So first of all define the extension and later JSON. Okay, later extension.